Ahoy hoy fellow bookworms, my name is Caroline and I like to read books, so let's talk about them. I've been gone for like 4 months, which has been interesting. To cut a long story short, basically I struggle with chronic migraines and in March things got really bad again, so it's just been this whole process of trying to find like the balance of medications that works for me and seeing a neurologist that I haven't been able to work, and it's just been really fucking shit. I really missed my channel though. I missed making videos and talking to people and sharing my passion. I decided to come back with a bang and do a book haul of all the books that I've accumulated since March, and there's like 20 of them because I was feeling really down with my migraines and went on a bit of a treat yourself binge and bought myself quite a lot of books on Book Depository, so let's just get into it. So the first book I got is Words of Radiance Part 2 by Brandon Sanderson, and this is the second part of the second book in the Stormlight Archive series, which is Brandon Sanderson's like passion project, which basically means that all his other books like Mistborn and Elantris and Warbreaker are his kind of side projects, and this is the one that he always comes back to. And reading it, you can really tell the world is massive, it's so complex, there's so much detail, the characters are so intricate, and it's just so interesting, and you can tell that he has this huge spanning plan for them, and it was just such a great read. Next up I have 3 books that I pre-ordered at the start of the year because I was super excited for their release. The first one is The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin Elias Sains. This is the same author that wrote Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, which I absolutely adored, and that's the main reason I ordered this one. I don't actually know that much about the story. I know that it follows a Mexican-American student and it's all about struggles with grief and faith and family and stuff like that, but I haven't heard that much about it. I haven't read this one yet, but I am kind of interested too, but mainly I ordered it because I loved the author's other book and I really wanted to read more by him. The next pre-order that arrived is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I've already read this and absolutely loved it. It was so powerful and emotional and important. This book follows our main character Star, who is in the car with her childhood best friend when he is shot and killed by a white police officer, and it kind of sets this whole series of events in motion and talks a lot about systemic oppression and stuff like that, and it was just really interesting and so important and just a great read. Next up we have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, and this is another book that I've already read and absolutely loved because it was honestly just so good. This book is kind of hard to summarize though. It basically follows our main character Laszlo Strange, who has always dreamt of this mythic lost city called Weep. He's obsessed with it. He writes about it in his spare time and all those sorts of things, and then he's presented with the opportunity to go there, and the story kind of unfolds from there, and it's just really magical and it's so beautifully written, and I just loved it. I loved Laszlo. He's such like a nerdy, cute main character, and it was just a really beautiful story, and I loved the 2 main characters so much, and oh, it was just so good. The next book I got is Geek Arella by Ashley Poston, and this is a Cinderella retelling where basically a lot of the original aspects of the story have been replaced with like nerdy fandom aspects. So our main character is like this geek girl, and she's presented with the opportunity to enter a cosplay contest where the winner gets to attend this big cosplay ball, and she's really excited. So it's just Cinderella with like nerdy aspects, which was pretty fun, and I ended up liking this a lot more than I expected to, so definitely recommend. This next one is a book that I don't know heaps about. I bought it kind of impulsively because I was seeing a lot of people talk about it on Goodreads and stuff, so I decided to give it a go. But it's Empress of a Thousand Skies by Rhoda Belleza. From what I understand, this is a book about like a lost princess who is the last person in her family line, and she's been training to get vengeance on the person who killed her family or something like that, and now that she's turned 18 she decides it's time to come claim her throne, and it's in like space or something like that. See, I could be completely wrong, I have no idea, but I have heard good things. I haven't read it yet, but I am looking forward to picking it up at some point, so yeah. Okay, so next up I have Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. This is his young adult superhero-ish series. The story is basically that there's these epics who have superhero powers and use them to kind of rule the world like tyrants because that's what they can do. And then there's this group called the Reckoners, who are kind of like assassins, and they observe the epics and find out their weaknesses and then use that weakness to assassinate them. Our main character wants to join the Reckoners and assassinate Steelheart, who is like the epic. Our story kind of goes from there, and I read it, I quite liked it, nowhere near as much as his actual like fantasy books like Mistborn and Stormlight, but it was definitely an entertaining read. This next book is another one that I don't know that much about, but I'm excited to read nonetheless, and it's See You in the Cosmos by Jack Chang. I remember hearing about this book at a Penguin event I went to at the start of the year, and I thought it sounded like a cool story, but didn't really hear that much about it until I saw it at a bookstore, decided to pick it up. All I really know is that it follows an 11-year-old's main character who is obsessed with space. He loves all things related to space, and he decides to do this like experiment where he sends his iPod Shuffle into space so that other life forms and aliens can hear our music and learn about life on Earth. And it just sounds like a really cute little story, so I'm actually quite intrigued to read it sometime soon. Next up, I got The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the 4th and final book in the Raven Cycle series, and I have not read this yet, but I am so excited to get into it. Hopefully sometime soon, but I think I kind of need to recap what happened in the first 3 books before I dive into this one. I've heard some people say that they were kind of disappointed in this book as a finale, so I'm really interested to see what I'll think of it. Next up is The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North, and again, this is a book that I don't know that much about, but this is one where I would like to keep it that way. I just quickly read the blurb before I started talking, and it sounds really intriguing, but like a book where you don't want to go into it knowing everything about the story. So from what it says on the back of this book, we have our main character Harry, and every time he dies he is reborn as a child, and this has happened time and time again, and he is on his deathbed for whatever numbered lifetime, and he's approached by some young person and they say, "Thank God I caught you, doctor, I need to send a message," and I'm guessing things just take off from there. And what's interesting is I don't really know what genre this is. I don't know if it's like a magical realism kind of story, or if it's like a sci-fi thing, or if it's a thriller, so I am actually really interested to read this one. There seems to be a lot of books in this haul that I don't know that much about, because here's another one. It's Good Morning Midnight by Lily Brooks Dalton. This was a bit of a cover buy, and I really don't know much about the story. I know that one of the main characters is at a research center in the Arctic Circle somewhere and loses all contact with the outside world, and then finds this like mysterious child who is there, and they can't establish contact with anyone. And there's also an astronaut in space who suddenly loses contact with mission control, and it's something with those 2 stories. But honestly, I really know nothing. I just bought this because I think the cover is absolutely gorgeous. Next up, I got We're Okay by Nina LaCour, which I've already read and really enjoyed. This is the story of our main character Marin, who used to live on the coast of California, I think. She kind of ran away to go to university in New York and never told anybody why. But now that it's winter break, her old best friend Mabel is coming to visit her, and Marin is going to have to confront why she ran away and talk to Mabel about her feelings and stuff. And I almost didn't buy this book because a lot of people had said it was really boring, but I loved it. Even though it's quite slow, it's really reflective and sweet and talks a lot about like grief and growing up, and I definitely recommend it. So this is another book that I bought mainly for the gorgeous cover because I think it's absolutely fucking stunning, and it's The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco. I originally picked this up because of the gorgeous cover, but then I found out that this is about a necromancer going to magic school, and then I read what's on the back and I was completely convinced to read it, so I'm gonna read you guys what's on the back because it's really, really cool. So on the back it says,
"Let me be clear, I never intended to raise my brother from his grave, though he may claim otherwise. If there's anything I've learned from him in the years since, it's that the dead hide truths as well as the living."
And hot damn, that made me want to read this book so bad. And I read it and it was actually quite good. It was kind of like memoirs of a geisha and necromancy, so it was pretty good. The next book I got is Queens of Geek by Jen Wild, and this book is all about 3 main characters who go to a convention called SuperCon, and it's just like nerdy, cheesy fun. There's romance and there's diversity, and it was just a really fun story, and I loved all the stuff it said about like fandoms and being in fandoms, and it was so relatable in so many ways. So I definitely recommend this book. Next up we have The Princess Saves Herself, in this one by Amanda Lovelace. This is a book of modern poetry inspired by the author's life, and I really like modern poetry. I know a lot of people don't, but I find it quite enjoyable to read, so I did quite enjoy this one as well. I did find some of the poems to be quite hit or miss. I think there were some in there that were definitely repetitive, but in general I found this to be quite a good book of poetry. And the final book in my book haul is another book that I've already read and will probably be reviewing soon. It's A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas. This is the final book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, and it wasn't a bad finale, but overall I was quite disappointed with it. There were just some things that I wasn't completely happy with, which was really disappointing because I was like so excited for this book. I'll probably be reviewing this soon because I have thoughts I want to share on it, so stay tuned for that, guys. That is it for this book haul, guys. If you have read any of these books, be sure to let me know what you thought of them down in the comments. I will hopefully be uploading another video soon, but I do not know what day, so I am not going to make any promises. But be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Toodaloo!